Know that in America, democracy is hypocrisy. Now, if I'm wrong, put me in jail.
And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our...
Welcome in, folks. Go ahead and close the door behind you on your way inside and have a seat. It's time to review this episode of the Culture Report. Yes, your one-stop think tank serving as an informative safe haven focused on the prime benefit of Black people, which is Black empowerment. I'm your gracious host, HT, and right beside me is my brother, Arms ID. Pleasure, brother. Folks, don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. And without further ado, let's begin. And don't we have a doozy on this episode, folks? Two well-known public entertainers in Will Smith and Chris Rock flooded the internet in headlines on March 27, 2022 during the 94th Oscar Awards after Will walked to the stage to slap Chris in his face for a joke that Chris made about Will's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. This was as Chris was hosting the award show. ID, give it to us straight. Would Will Smith have smacked a Caucasian individual, a transgender individual, somebody from the LGBT community, or really just someone else entirely from another community, period, outside of being Black in the exact same fashion that he did to Chris Rock?
Of course not. Of course not. And like I said, shout out to Chris Rock for keeping his composure, for being professional, for not suing the Oscars in the first place, because technically he could sue because they're supposed to have security that should stop anybody from getting on that stage. And also he could have filed a lawsuit against Will Smith because even the LAPD is looking at the situation or have been looking at it. So shout out to Chris Rock for just keeping his composure. Again, this isn't really just about Will Smith. This is about Black men. Not only is this a issue where we're kind of conditioned to always basically stand up for women. A lot of it comes from how we're raised. We're raised in matriarchal homes. So we're scared of what our wives are going to say, what our female counterparts are going to say, what our female family members are going to say, female online supporters are detractors. So a lot of times we do things out of what are they going to say? Again, your respect comes from, as a Black man, and just men in general, your respect comes from other men. So there could have been 1,000 other ways that Will could have basically, resolved the situation, talk to Chris, because this is the thing. I just thought Jada shaved her head. I didn't know she had a illness. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give Chris the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Nobody keeps up with the Smith household and what goes on with Jada and Will. Then the other thing is, I think in my opinion, they did a good job as far as like deading all the stuff that happened a few years ago with the entanglement situation. And then this situation brings it right back up again.
Sure does.
So it's like, well, you almost kind of killed everything that came with it, because this situation really just exposed how Will feels about that situation, his wife, and his manhood. And I see a lot of people like Tiffany Haddish went on, I want to say it was ETV, and was like, oh, this is what men are supposed to do. You're supposed to take up for your wife when somebody disrespects you. At the end of the day, you're a public figure. When you're a public figure, you have to deal with scrutiny. It's like going to a comedy show. You understand if you're on the front row, you're probably gonna get joned on or dissed or whatever.
Right.
You're in the front of the Oscars. In 2016, they did the same situation. Jada was going to boycott. She was doing a boycott about the Oscars and all this other stuff. Will had never won an Oscar before. Then she was saying things were whitewashed. So Jada has already had issues with the Oscars. So, and let's be clear, Jada is a modern woman. most modern women don't want their husbands to jump into their issues and their fights. They want to handle it on their own. So I don't believe that. I think in Will's mind, I think he thought he was going to get brownie points from his wife and other black women. To me, it just basically almost did the opposite. I can see in my little crystal ball that Jada might be filing for divorce, because this is the same thing that happened with Kanye West. Before Kanye West got into divorce talks, he was telling Nick Cannon and other people to stop talking about his wife, and he was trying to defend his wife of things that actually happened with his wife before he got married, which were her sexual escapades.
Right.
And so this is the same thing that's going on with Jada. I didn't see Will have the same smoke for August Alsina when he made the song Entanglements, talking about that Will gave him blessings to be with his wife, which was a friend of his son's that has some sexual relationships with his wife. I didn't see that with Future, that made merchandise from saying that he'd rather hang with his wife than rather hang with Jada than Will Smith. So again, this goes back into a lot of psyche of Will, but also as black men, because black men do, let's be clear, black men do this every day and lose their life. There was actually a situation at a Dollar Tree where a black officer, security guard, told a black woman to put a mask on, and she didn't. She ran home to her husband, and her husband went up there and killed him. So again, we get put in these situations all the time with our females, and then also our ego, where we have to learn better ways than assaulting somebody just because you feel like somebody disrespected you or your family members. And again, my thing is, what is your thoughts on this situation? Because this is a deeper situation than what most people think.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot deeper than a two-dimensional perspective. Louis C.K., Billy Crystal, Jerry Seinfeld, folks of that ilk would have never been approached and or slapped by Will Smith if they were Chris Rock that night. Not even a gay white male attempting to kiss Will. And I know this to be true because the latter actually happened when a reporter tried to kiss Will on the cheek at the Moscow premiere of Men in Black 3. After being what could be seen as sexually harassed in that instance, Will asked the reporter, what the hell his problem was with an ever so light tappy tap, just something like that. Nothing even close to what Chris Rock got, because Chris, he received the pimp slap from Will at the 94th Oscar Awards, though, because Chris is he's the 57-year-old soft target Negro, which is why he got the harder smack, hit, whatever you want to call it. And apparently, because again of a G.I. Jane joke toward Jada that Chris said on stage, that was apparently offensive, which is a matter of perspective. And by the way, I think you said this already, as well as tons of other people out there in the public and just the internet world. Will was initially laughing at that situation, at that joke, initially before the slap of the decade took place seconds later. And it said that Jada apparently has alopecia. I hear you guys out there. I hear you, on that. If the public hasn't seen the clip, though, Jada said on a TikTok video of hers not long ago at all that she doesn't give two craps about what others think about her bald head. That's what she said. Now, regarding Chris Rock's joke, he is and has been a comedian. So, I mean, making fun of people, places, things, or events, that's just what comedians do. And that's what they have done for many, many years. Going back to the G.I. Jane 2 thing. I mean, Demi Moore, wonderful actress that starred in that initial movie back in 97. Her star role in that film was originally noted as generally having positive movie feedback back in, once again, 1997. Plus, Chris Rock, he called Jada out in a joking fashion ID. He just outlined that, and I'll just bring that back real quick. He joked on her back in 2016 at the Oscars for her Oscar so white so-called boycott, and told E! News that it comes with the territory and there's a lot of stuff we got to handle. Those were Jada's words as well. So what changed from then till now? We'll let you guys decide and take a gander on that one. But the results of this incident can be looked at from a variety of angles, really here per the time frame of this episode that you guys are watching and beyond. Off top, modern women are going to be more emboldened from this to take advantage of the simps that they settle with from manipulative aggression once they've passed their peak value in the dating marketplace, to use these guys, shaming themselves, the guys, in the guise of protecting Black women. I also see comedians out there that are more savage than Chris Rock and than what he is and was the night of the Oscars. I could see them taking that 94th Oscars moment as new material for their soon to come shows. So be on the lookout for that. Plus, or possible lookout for that. Plus, Will's mistake of slapping Chris caused him to target himself for the feminist opportunists that could be aiming to chomp at the bit to gun him down by way of staking claims of Will being aggressive against them. Shout out to Bill Cosby on that situation, and the feminists that did that to him wrongfully. But Chris carried himself with poise and professionalism after getting clocked for the G.I. Jane 2 joke. Will, on the other hand, has, I think, more to answer for than Chris personally and professionally, resulting in the image of Will no longer being seen as the safe Negro as he once was. Your thoughts, though, brother?
Like I said, I feel for Will. I get it, man. Like,
yeah,
every Black man has been in Will's shoes at some point, where you get with a woman and you really don't know what you're dealing with. And sometimes you bite off a little more than you can chew because you love her. And because you love this woman, you're willing to lose everything for her. I've been in it too, you know what I'm saying? But the crazy thing goes back to, you're doing things to honor her, but what has she done to honor you?
correct.
And I go back to the George Clooney video that she had for her birthday, where George Clooney was, making fun of Will, and saying, how can you be with Will and he's like this and like that, and she's just going crazy, laughing and joking. And to me, there, for anything that's funny, there's a little bit of truth in it, and so that's why people think it's funny. But she never defended him at all. Then the other thing you have to always understand too is, she has, to this date of this recording, she hasn't publicly thanked or supported her husband for even standing up for her honor. So in my opinion, if she really appreciated it, the first thing she would have done is backed her husband, regardless if it was right or wrong of what he did. She would have backed him, because that's what Will would have done if she did something that protected him. Also, she's been in the past, she's also talked about in the past where she had a birthday and that she didn't like that Will made it about himself. So I think this might be another situation, just like the Kim and Kanye situation, where a modern woman doesn't want you taking up for her when she feels like she can do it for herself. It's almost like chivalry, and like Dave Chappelle said, chivalry is dead because women killed it. They do not want you to fight battles for them when they feel like they can do it themselves. It's a touch and go thing. But at the end of the day, he hasn't had smoke for any other people, like 50 Cent when he was in the DMs in Instagram. When 50 made a little joke about the entanglement. He hasn't done anything for Future or August or anybody else. And to me, again, like you said before, HT, if this would have been a Rosenberg or a transgender host, he wouldn't have had the smoke. It would have been behind the scenes. It would have been handled. And shout out to Denzel Washington for always being debonair and classy, and always really being a big brother to Will. Because at the end of the day, it looks like Will's never had any kind of big brother talks or somebody in his corner that basically calms him down. And to me, the scary thing is, this looks bad on black men, not just on Will Smith, because if you act this way in public, what are you doing behind closed doors? And then to me, this opens up the same situation. So again, you see Jimmy Butler on the sideline for the Miami Heat going off of his coach, talking about he wants to fight him. You see AB from the Buccaneers in the NFL going crazy on the sideline. This is becoming like too common, where black men can't basically control their emotions. Again, shout out to Kevin Samuels and Jason Black, The Business. They're always promoting counseling. Get with somebody that can be a voice of reason with you, because if you're trying to basically fix things on the fly, you're going to have emotional outbursts. So again, HT, what's your final words on this as we just get out of here? And like I said, shout out to Will. We still love you, man. You know what I'm saying? We feel your pain. We understand what's going on. We're not bashing Will at all. This is straight. This is barbershop talk. This is black love, man. We love Will. Shout out to Chris. But as black men, we got to understand, like, these public outbursts don't help us at all. You know what I mean? So as we go forward, we need to just think, get with an OG and process these things before you do something that could really ruin your career or put you behind bars. An average person would have went to jail for this.
Bingo. And something you said before about honor had me think about something. Why defend the honor of a female that you're married to that doesn't deserve to be honored in light of her nonstop misandry against the husband that she's with, alongside other heterosexual black men on a platform such as Red Table Talk, or just maybe even in private and gossip, or really just in general? And you know what, Jada, she certainly doesn't want to be with Will, nor has she wanted to be with him for many years now. She certainly didn't use her power of persuasion from a nurturing space to tame and elevate Will from slapping Chris Rock. The reason for this historic moment, as well as other forms of disrespect she's enacted, it's because she doesn't love him. Let's just be frank about it. She really doesn't love him in the fashion that he deserves to be loved. She still fawns over guys like, Tupac, August Alsina, that fake alpha male archetype, or whatever you want to call it, and so forth, that she's either slept with and or could still be sleeping with. Let's just be frank about that. Jada's never loved Will and her husband, or even, I'll be frank, I don't even think she's even truly and fully loved him as Will being the boyfriend either, in their earlier years of courtship. And to this day, she's never fully and directly said in so many words that she cheated on Will with another male or other males in a selfish and treacherous act of adultery. She spun adultery as an entanglement. That's ego, folks. Remember, Jada's mom at the time had to convince Jada to marry Will solely for his resources and Hollywood status. And Jada mentioned as well that she felt tremendous pressure to get married because she was pregnant at the time. Jada's a married woman per the date of this recording. And let's just look at it as well. This other side as well. She's no virtuous woman with righteous values, nor was she brought up to serve as one.
Fact.
I mean, don't take my word for it. You guys see it all the time. And I'm sure we can all thank her fellow feminist family members that primarily raised her for what we're seeing today and in past actions. Folks, the Academy and Hollywood, they're not going to forget this incident. And most folks are going to coin this as a stain on black men, black males, black America. For Chris, it'll be the joke he made going obviously viral in comedic taste or lack thereof. For Will, though, the cost will be heavier, in my opinion, as this is another facial scar on his public resume, superseding the initial entanglement interview of Will and Jada on Red Table Talk. And you know that the public certainly won't forget this moment in time either. They're just not. What we can learn from this is that if anyone has an issue with somebody, you should take it up with that individual or persons somewhere in private and professionally conduct the conversation with the mindset and the tenets of conflict resolution, not on front for public display in some form of humiliation. And another thing is trying to prove some form of manhood. It's just, well, and also from an emotionally unstable space to a female of ill intent at the expense of your credibility is never worth the fracturing of your self-esteem, black man. It's just not. So with that said, both Will Smith and Chris Rock released their formal apologies. You know, shout out to both of them for doing that. And let's hope that in moving forward, these two black men and black men across the board can begin moving forward, really just following the advice of Denzel Washington to Will Smith that ID mentioned that night, actually, which is quoted as, at least to my or our understanding, as being quoted as, at your highest moment, be careful, because that's when the devil comes for you. Folks, is this thing real or a hoax for a ratings boost? Is Will Smith's Hollywood career over with, as Stephen A. Smith stated? Do you all agree with Tiffany Hash when she said the slap was meant the world to her and was the most beautiful thing she's ever seen? And what of the Smith's family son, Jaden Smith, stating on social media right after the global slap, that's how we do? I mean, there's so many things that could be said, so many questions to ask about this topic. Overall, just let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And also check us out on Patreon, where we're going to host our more exclusive videos and topics discussed. ID, brother, it's always a pleasure. Folks, we had to go in on this one for you. Hopefully you gained some jewels from this, not from a space of any form of gossip, but just in terms of us utilizing this as a case study to glean life lessons from. Overall, though, we definitely want to thank you all for joining us on this program of the Culture Report. And until next time, meeting adjourned.